Happy Thursday, and welcome to the day that I talk about marriage. I'm Leslie Dories, your marriage coach, founder of Foundations Coaching, and the creator of the Hero Husband Project. And there's been something that's sitting on my mind since last week when I was listening to the radio. I listened to NPR, and they were doing their annual, they were doing their Valentine's Day pledge drive. And they were talking to a gentleman who'd won a trip. And they were asking him where he might want to go. And he said, "Oh, I don't know. I need to check with the boss." And he was talking about his wife. And you might not think that's a bad idea. And it probably was said in jest. But what if it wasn't? How we talk about things, the words we actually use, are a reflection of our thoughts. And so, you'll hear people talk about their partners, the ball and chain, or the boss, or from an old British novel, She Who Must Be Obeyed. None of those things are particularly flattering. They're usually, now they could be said in jest, and that's okay. And if you and your partner talk that way to each other and you both are okay with it, no problem. But like I said, how we talk is a reflection of what we think and what we feel. And even in jokes, there's frequently a little bit of truth. And the thing about marriage, the thing that makes marriage really unique, is that it is truly a combination of equals. Neither spouse has more power than the other. Now, I realize that this is a little bit different than the way marriage historically was, because marriage historically was a business arrangement. It wasn't necessarily a love arrangement. Women had to be married in order to live a decent life, because back in the day, we couldn't earn money on our own. We were actually our father's property before we became our husband's property. Thank goodness those days are long gone. And so now we have what we talk about as, most of us marry for love. But then there's the dynamic. How do we set up a marriage? And it's truly a relationship of equals. Now, other relationships in our lives, relationships where we live with somebody, where we're connected to somebody 24 hours. I'm not talking about roommates. I'm not talking about friends, because those are limited. But when you're married, you become equal. And so the old hierarchy that existed in your family, parent, child, parent, older sibling, younger sibling. I'm a younger sibling, so I was always the tag along one, the one who didn't know anything because I was the youngest. There's hierarchy, but there's no hierarchy in your marriage. And part of the challenge is, how do you take two different people with two different experiences, combine them into this relationship called marriage, and expect people to function well? First, it's the way you set it up, but second, it's how you think about it. If you think that your partner has more power than you do, that probably allows for some resentment and some pushback against something they might suggest. And it doesn't matter whether you think the husband has more power or the wife has more power. It sets it up as an imbalance. And you can see this in different aspects of relationships, where somebody handles the finances and the other person doesn't know anything about them. That's unworkable in the long term. My view is that nobody gets to opt out of any major aspect of the relationship. And if you are equals, if you are co-captains, then you have the big picture. One person might have primary, not authority is not the word I'm looking for, but primary, they might take care of one aspect of the relationship, but the other partner knows about it. And they have created this balanced and informed plan so that what one person is doing, they know is in line with what their partner thinks. This is really where the true success in marriages come from. We know from research that true egalitarian marriages, where both people participate equally, are actually the healthiest and the happiest. So I just want you to be careful about how you talk about your spouse, because even if it's said in jest, those words can be like little worms that get into your thinking. And so, like I said, it's just something that's been bugging me. When I heard this on the radio about the boss, there shouldn't be a boss in your marriage. You just shouldn't, and that's what you agreed to. You agreed to be partners. You agreed to be co-captains, and so hopefully you'll be able to do that. And if you think there's an imbalance, then it's helpful to figure out why there's an imbalance. How did the imbalance get there? What part are you playing in keeping the imbalance going? Because I'm going to tell you, if you're the one who is thinking that you don't have power, you're going to behave in that way. And if you're the one who has the power, even if you don't necessarily realize you have it, you're going to probably be getting some pushback from your spouse. So that's it for today. Would love to hear your thoughts about it, about what you call your partner, what your partner calls you. Is that really okay? And how are you guys creating this more equal balance? Now, equal does not mean 50-50, but it's more egalitarian where you both are participating. So thanks for listening, and until next week, stay loving.